on the host cell, it uses these pili to attach to the host cell. Well, the manufacturing of the pili happens to also manufacture the exotoxin. The virus puts its genetic material in a position so that the pili that are necessary for infection are manufactured at the same time the exotoxin is also going to be manufactured. And so now you have a virus that's going to release this toxin that's going to cause this dehydration to occur and to recover oral rehydration therapy. Best treatment for dehydration is to drink water, or drink fluids, electrolytes, replenish those. Suffering from Vibrio cholera, if you can replace the water that you're losing through the diarrhea and the vomiting, you have a chance to recover. But you have to understand, early on, we didn't know that oral rehydration therapy would have been effective. And instead, we are bleeding people in an effort to cure them. And that wasn't so effective, actually. Questions? Comments?
Did you just say they use bleeding to cure cholera?
What?
They were using bleeding to cure cholera?
Bleeding, leeches, I mean, any type of, we didn't understand bacteria back then.
What's the difference of epidemic and pandemic?
Epidemic is going to be something that maybe spreads nationwide across the country. A pandemic is something that is worldwide.
Did some of them, when they get diarrhea, instead get blood? They were getting blood diarrhea?
Yeah, that's called dysentery, and you can have blood in your diarrhea. Yeah, and it's just a more severe condition. You can get pus and stuff that develop in the intestine. Okay, so we left off, we were talking about environmental microbiology. I was talking about sewage treatment. A couple of things I want to say here before we continue with this discussion, kind of as a matter of review. First, I introduced to you this notion of BOD, biological oxygen demand. You might sometimes see it referred to as biochemical oxygen demand. Our goal in treating water is to reduce BOD. We want to reduce the BOD to lessen the environmental impact. If you think about what we're talking about here now, BOD, biological oxygen demand, what's causing the demand? Well, there's organic matter in the water. And this organic matter is going to be metabolized, be broken down, and it is the breaking down of this organic matter that demands oxygen. So remember our story about dumping sewage into a body of water. If you dump all that organic matter into a body of water like this, the microbes that are there are going to break down that organic matter, and in order to do that, they're going to need to use oxygen. So there's going to be a demand placed on the system for oxygen. And if that demand is too great, those organisms that are living there will die because their oxygen will be sucked out of the system. So our goal in reducing BOD really is to reduce the organic matter so that we can reduce the demand for oxygen that water would put on the system if we put that organic matter in there.
So if we decrease BOD, then the hypoxic will not occur in the lake.
I'm sorry?
The hypoxic.
The hypoxic conditions, exactly. That's what we're hoping to avoid. If we put too much organic matter in there, exactly, we can get a hypoxic condition developing. So we don't want that, and that's why we want to remove the organic matter. Now, for us, locally, probably not near as an issue because we discharge, or used to discharge into the bay, big body of water. Solution to pollution is dilution. At least it is in that case. But in a small body of water, if you put too much organic matter in there and you don't have a lot of water flow or a lot of turnover, then you're going to put a demand on that system. And that's when you can get hypoxic conditions developing. So maybe not so much for us here where we're discharging in the ocean, but many of the communities on the interior part of the United States don't have an ocean to discharge into. Questions? So, in order to remove the organic matter, we do a couple types of biological treatment in a treatment plant. We do aerobic treatment and we do anaerobic treatment. The last time I only talked about aerobic treatment. This time I'll mention a little bit about anaerobic treatment, but not just yet. The other thing that we want to say about treatment is we can discuss it in 3 phases, really. I only introduced 2 phases last time. We can have a primary phase, a secondary phase, and a tertiary phase. And if you remember, in our primary phase, this is where we removed the organic matter using a physical process. We let gravity help us. So we bring the water into our clarifier, we slow it down, and we let the big chunks settle to the bottom, and we let the grease and oil float to the top where it gets skimmed off. And so our primary treatment is going to remove some of that organic matter. It's a physical process. Now our secondary treatment, if you remember, this is a biological process. And it takes advantage of microbes and this breaking down of the organic matter that is in the water column. And it is how we remove BOD then. We talked about the trickling filter towers, we talked about the activated sludge tank, we talked about wetlands and lagoons that are used sometimes as a means of biological treatment. Basically, you're just taking the sewage, the organic matter, and exposing it to microbes that will feed on it and break it down. Now, you remember with the trickling filter towers and the activated sludge tank, that's an aerobic process. We, especially with the activated sludge tank, we actually pipe oxygen into the tank to stir it up, to keep it aerated so that the microbes stay active, breaking down the organic matter. Tertiary treatment, I didn't get to last time. Tertiary treatment is something that we've just started doing here locally, say in the last 15 years. We used to take the 20 million gallons of water that we get from the municipalities around here, and now 20 million gallons would be treated up to secondary treatment and discharged out into the bay. We have a pipe that goes 1 mile out, discharge it, and be done with it. But Monterey is suffering from a thing called saltwater intrusion.
Is that an ocean?
No, that's right here. Saltwater intrusion is what happens when you draw water up out of the ground, removing it from the water table, and then the seawater moves in to replace it. The reason this is happening is because we're agriculture and we have a huge demand for groundwater. So we're drawing up all this groundwater in Castroville and Salinas, and in doing so, creating a place for the saltwater to move in. So we have saltwater intruding up to at least 10 miles now into the groundwater that we have here in Salinas. You cannot water agriculture with salt water. It'll kill it. So this problem had to be addressed. What we did is we developed this tertiary plant that allows us to clean the water further and use it to irrigate our agriculture. So if you remember our secondary clarifier where we had, and this is around, this had come from our activated sludge tank. And this effluent that was coming out of here is pretty clean. Okay, it's been through the whole process. It's been to the physical treatment, it's been to the biological treatment, and like I said, it used to be discharged out into the bay. But, you know, it's still got some particular matter there. There's still microbes there from the activated sludge process. There's still bacteria and stuff there. If we want to use it for agriculture, we're going to have to clean it up a little bit further. And so, what we do in our marina plant over here is there are a series of sand filters. And so we'll run the effluent, and actually it's going to run down over the sand, and this is going to help remove a lot of the particulate matter. In addition to that, a lot of the bacteria will be removed as well. You can remove as much as 98% of bacteria just simply by filtering it through sand. But there'll still be some bacteria that get through. So, the plant has what is known as a chlorine contact basin. And here we expose the water to chlorine in hopes to kill the bacteria that will be there. So we've run the secondary effluent through our sand filters, removed a lot of the particulate matter. Now the water is going to enter into this chlorine contact basin, and we're going to be pumping chlorine into the water now. And it's going to be mixing up, and the hope is that the bacteria come in contact with the chlorine, and the chlorine kills the bacteria. So the water will flow through this contact basin, like so, with a contact time of about 2 hours. It takes about 2 hours for the water from the moment it enters into the contact basin to flow through the contact basin. It has been determined that about a 2-hour contact time is what it takes to kill most of the bacteria that's made it through that point. Then the water makes its way over